Welcome to the Seriously podcast. I'm your host, Annalise Gann. Now let's get into it. Welcome to the Seriously podcast, where we make light of serious conversations with really interesting people. Welcome back to the Seriously podcast. I'm your host, Annalise Gann, and this week we have Jarrad Seng.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I'm so excited that you're here. Now, a lot of people would know you because you're an incredible photographer. You've worked with some incredible clientele. I want to ask, you're never really in Perth, but you are at the moment. What have you been up to?
Wow, a lot. A lot of stuff. This year, I suppose most of this year I've been traveling with Angus and Julia Stone. I do their photos and videos. So that was a big kind of, I'm going to say 4 months of world touring with them. So that's been a big part of this year. But there's been a lot of other fun tourism projects as well.
That's incredible. Just casually, Angus and Julia Stone, okay. Do you know, you're going to find this funny. You might not remember this.
Okay.
We actually met 4 years ago on a tourism campaign in Margaret River. In yelling up at a winery, and you were filming, and I was one of the models.
Oh my god!
You wouldn't remember
which winery?
It was can't remember.
Was this in 2022?
2020.
2020. Oh my god!
Well, that's where I first met you. So it's so cool that we actually get to chat today.
Yeah, nice one.
Wow.
I'm gonna go back and find that footage now. I'm curious.
Yeah, I never got to see it.
That's the thing with a lot of these tourism jobs is that the people in it. Who spend a whole day kind of being a slave in front of the camera, just never get to see it.
We don't. That's the life.
But
that's
I'll try fix that.
Amazing. So speaking of tourism, did I just see on the grapevine that you just shot a campaign with Daniel Ricciardo?
Yes. Yeah, that was fun. I was just the stills photographer. There was a whole, big film crew involved with that. But yeah, that was really cool.
That's incredible. So what's he like in real life?
Super cool. He's exactly what you'd expect. I think that's what people love about him is that just his character, and you can tell that he's just a down-to-earth kind of funny dude. Mm-hmm. I think that's what people see on TV, and then in real life, that's what he is as well.
He seems it. Whenever I see photos of him in Perth, I'm just he seems grounded as.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you from Perth originally, or whereabouts did you grow up?
Pretty much. I grew up in Mandurah.
Oh, nice.
So that was school, and then I moved to Perth for uni at UWA, and I actually stayed on campus for 5 years, 6 years, 5 or 6. I was born in Newman, which if you know where that is.
Mm-hmm. Country boy. Okay,
love that. I don't remember anything about that. That was less than a year of my life was up there.
Yes.
And then Mandurah, yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
So Newman to Mandurah to uni.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask, because did you always know I want to be a photographer? Was that always in your plans, or did you study it? How did you actually get into photography?
No, that came pretty late actually. It was, when I went to uni, I first studied law for 1 year.
Wow, love it. You must be really smart.
It's pretty rogue. Well,
that's really
I did
cool.
Okay at school. I did pretty good at school, and I could basically choose, whatever uni course I wanted. So I chose the law because it was one of the ones that you did if you got good grades, and it just seemed really cool from watching TV shows. Being a lawyer seemed pretty badass, but then when you start studying it, you realize it's nothing like what you see on TV.
Yeah, a lot of reading.
It was just so much reading, so much nitpicky kind of reading.
Yeah,
that's not really After a year of that, I just thought to myself, if the job I get after this requires any of this stuff, it's just not going to be a good time. So I left and I changed to arts and commerce. Mm-hmm. So kind of marketing journalism kind of world. And then about halfway through that, I started picking up photography as a hobby.
Okay.
And then that's how it all spiraled. It was all to do with music, actually. I just love music. I was always going to shows. I was doing a lot of music journalism, playing in some bands. And like the final step was, oh, why don't I try to take some photos at concerts?
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's cool. Because are you a muso? Because so am I.
I wouldn't say I know how to play keys, and I did play for a few years in bands, but nowhere near the level of, professional.
Okay, but still, like, you have a musical talent. Like, because I feel like not everyone
I can
is
play,
born. Yeah, that's incredible. Okay, so how old were you when, like, you started taking up photography and then it became a hobby? And then obviously, like...
Yeah, I'm going to say 21 maybe, 22?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Okay, and then when was, like, your first paid job? Like, do you remember that?
First paid job, it was pretty soon. It was pretty soon after that. It was for a company, like nightclub socials. So I'd be wandering around the Dean. I don't think that's around anymore. And Mustang, like Friday nights, asking people if they want to be in photos. And the first time I did that, and it was like $20 an hour or something. So like not much. And I remember just like getting shown around the job and taking photos of people. And I was thinking, how's someone paying me to do this? It's so easy. Like, I can't believe that. and straight away my mind was like, oh wow, maybe photography is like an actual, cool job that I can actually survive on. But then that was back then. And pretty quickly, maybe after like 3 weeks, I was like, oh, actually, this is not a great job, is it? Going around, people yelling at you. But at first, I was like, wow, all I have to do is click this button and go talk to people, and that's a job. So it did start to get the wheels turning. And I did like various forms of these nightclub socials for probably 2 years. There was one place, there was one club night called Oh Snap, I think it was. Did you ever hear that? It's like a more alternative kind of night, like metal and stuff. And it's totally like the opposite of what my normal kind of scene is. But I loved it, and I just met like so many cool people there. So yeah, I always credit those days as being like pretty essential to the success later on. Because I think now that was kind of pre-Instagram, or maybe Instagram was just kind of happening at that time, but it's not like it is now. And I think now people see something like photography or content creation. I think a lot of people skip that step of doing these kind of unappealing, grindy kind of jobs where you just have to go in there and just do it. And it's actually not that, you're not going to show that off to anybody. But those kind of jobs are what kind of, build you into like the photographer that you should be. Like, builds a resilience. You just learn so much by doing these kind of yucky jobs.
Absolutely. Well, because I've worked as a model for like over 10 years, and like not really anymore because I'm 28. I'm getting up there. But I have a lot of photography friends, and every time, it's so interesting to me that you say that it's easy to take photos. Every time they give me the camera, I'm like, this is so hard. Like, I don't know all the tech behind it, but like,
they need to teach you better. It's easy. It's so easy.
But I think you either have a gift with it or you don't.
I think you can have kind of a natural creative eye. But I think anybody can take a pretty good photo quite easily. Maybe with 20 minutes of a lesson.
Not as good as Jarrad, though, guys. It's like, you have to teach
I don't know. Some of the stuff I do, some of the jobs I'm on, I'm like, this is pretty, like, this is not a super specialized. This is what I think. I think the actual taking photo part, anyone can do. Like, with enough training or with, experience, like, fine. But it's all the other stuff that, will get you the jobs and get you, like, as the client's preferred person to be there. It's the taking photo part, the technical stuff, whatever, Like, whoever you get, it's going to be pretty much the same. It's going to be pretty good. But it's about, a lot of other things, just like the trust that someone might have in you.
Yeah.
to deliver the job. They just know that, okay, if we get this guy, it'll just get done. It'll get done on time. So trust, and just the way, just like your personality on set and things like that.
You do have a very calming vibe.
That's nice.
You're very like chill. Like
Wait till the caffeine kicks in.
yeah, he's drinking an oat flat white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like even when you were texting me, you're like so chill. You're like, yep, all good. I was like, I'm the neurotic one. Like, I'm like so OCD, and I'm like, you're so chill, and I love the energy. It calms me down.
Okay, that's good.
So it's good.
Yeah, I'm pretty open to whatever. I don't know where that comes from. I wouldn't call myself that chill. Maybe. I guess I'm just not that phased by many things. If I had to like put something down on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just been so many like funny and strange situations I've been in.
Yeah, I bet.
Not much phases me, I think.
Yeah. Can we hear about some stories? Like, obviously, you work at a very high level with very famous people. Like, in that kind of realm, you'd get yourself in some really interesting situations. You would have seen some cool stuff. Is there anything that comes to mind in terms of like a cool life experience that you've had recently as a photographer?
Cool life experience. I mean, you're right. Like, you are around like pretty high profile people fairly often. 90% of the time, it's just very tame and normal. I mean, just this year. So yeah, Daniel Ricciardo was cool to meet. There was 3 Angus and Julia Stone. I meet a lot of kind of actors, and because they're mates with all sorts of people. But nothing crazy. I don't think anything crazy happened this year.
Do you have to sign like NDAs?
No, there's never been anything wild. I was at a show with Angus, and he was playing with Post Malone. And that was a funny one because my job there was to kind of stealthily get some cool footage, because actually it was such a last minute thing that I wasn't approved as like a photographer to be like, bringing my camera into the show and to the dressing rooms and everything. So me and Angus talked, and it was like, just pretend like you're my mate and just get, I am his mate, but pretend like you're just coming along.
Yeah.
And using your phone just to get some pics. I was like, okay, cool.
That's cool.
But then as soon as we got to the dressing room, there was a security guard taking everyone's phones away.
Oh, so what happens there?
I was just like, oh, sorry, man. We're just hanging out now.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think the reason for that was because Dave Chappelle was in that room as well. And
just casually.
It was all very like, not that I saw anything crazy happen, but I think it's just, I think when you get to a certain level, you got to be so careful if you're a celebrity, and you just want to have peace of mind that no one's going to film you secretly just
being,
even if you're just being normal, just just having people film you all the time is so annoying.
Weird, and it's so ostracizing, and it's not. A few of my friends have been on like reality TV, and they've had like overnight fame in Australia and overseas, and they've had weird situations like that where they've had to say to people like, can you not film me? Like, it's just weird when people do that.
Yeah, and it's I guess it's kind of more acceptable now to do that.
Yeah.
Like, people don't feel bad about just like taking a picture of a random person. I would find
it really weird.
Yeah.
And violating someone's privacy. But in saying that, like, because I was saying before, like, you have a quite calming energy. Are you like used to being around famous people now? Like, does it faze you in any way?
Maybe on the inside, if it's someone I really kind of look up to or just a big fan of, maybe on the inside I'll be a little bit fanboying, but on the outside pretty chill.
Yeah.
You just have to be, and I think that's what's fun about what I do, is that all the different kinds of jobs I do, I'm always having to be like a slightly different role, fill a different role each time. There'll be big tourism jobs where I'm like directing and producing the whole thing and kind of bossing around a crew of 15 people, and you have to really take on like a active leadership role. And then there'll be times where the purpose is that I'm not seen, I just have to be this invisible photographer in the room. Like when I'm around big celebrities, like, no one wants there to be a fuss, you know. So my job is just to like almost not be seen, just kind of get what I need, but don't influence whatever's happening at all. So it's kind of fun, you know, just having a different role each time.
Yeah, nice. And so you're in Perth for the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'm very lucky to have you here because where are you going next? Can you give any details away? Or
Yeah. I'm back on tour with a guy called Passenger. He's a UK musician.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Just casually.
He was the first artist I toured with.
I love Passenger.
I'm going to say maybe 12 years ago we met when he was busking on the street.
Ooh.
And I was kind of just starting my photography journey. And we just got on and started touring together. Really low key back then. You know, some shows maybe 10 people would show up.
Oh, look at him now.
And look at him now. So it's been really fun, you know, just kind of growing with him. Obviously, he's like a massive star now. But both of us have been on this journey of, starting out, you know, with not many people paying attention to what you're doing. And then it's been really cool to kind of grow together.
Incredible.
Yeah. So he's doing an Australian tour, so I'm just joining for that bit.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So will you be going to the East Coast?
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
He's actually on a world tour right now.
Yeah.
But it kind of overlapped with my Angus and Julia stuff, so we decided I'll just come for Australia.
Can I ask, because I find it very interesting, like you obviously, part of your job is branding people, essentially. Like it's a very aesthetic based industry as to like how you present photos of people. But you and yourself have become a brand as a result of you working behind the camera. Like, is that a weird juxtaposition for you? Because like, does everyone, when you go out, do people know who you are? Because you have a very like iconic look.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I've done so many different, like really random things that people might know me from. So often someone will be looking at me or taking a photo, and I know they are.
Yeah.
Or coming up to me, but I just don't know what it's from. It could be from photography, and that's probably the coolest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like some people know me from that, and some people know me from Survivor. There's a viral video of me getting kicked in the face by a little kid that has tens of millions of views. And every now and then someone will be like, you're the guy that got kicked in the face, right?
How did that happen?
It's hard to explain without seeing it. So I'll show you after.
Okay, amazing.
But I used to do this thing way back where I would do a video selfie of myself with a straight face while something crazy was happening behind me, because it would be like, you know, Ed Sheeran at a concert behind me, or just like, you know, high energy stuff. And then I was at this, I just stumbled upon this like bubble festival or something. And so I thought, oh, that's cool. So I started filming myself. Bubbles are going everywhere behind me. And then out of nowhere, somebody picks up their child and their leg comes around and just like hits me in the face. And it's very funny. And I turned it into like a thug life kind of meme. And they just went everywhere. So there's that. I once did a joke where I pretended to be Steve Aoki.
Okay.
That went pretty viral. So some people might know me for pretending to be Steve, or some people might think I am Steve as well. So these are the things that run through my head if someone comes up to me. I'm like, who do you think? I often have actually just said like, who do you think I am? Or because I need to know how to respond. If you think I'm Steve Aoki, like I'll play along with it.
Yeah.
But I need to know. I need to figure it out. So I'll try and like kind of hold the combo long enough to work out.
Have a bit of a joke with it. Yeah. That's so funny. So like who, for example, like you've shot incredible people. Have you got someone on like your bucket list who you'd want to work with?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I'd love to at some point get more into kind of actors and start. You know, I always thought it'd be fun just to base myself in LA or somewhere for just like a year, just have a play around, just see,
Mm-hmm.
just see if I can weave my way into like some sort of Hollywood circle there. And I don't think it's like, I think if I wanted to do that and I tried hard enough, it would happen. I would.
Yeah, for sure.
By now, especially that I've got enough contacts, and it just seems like an exciting world.
It does.
Mm.
Yeah, I've kind of played with that idea too. Sometimes I'm like, I wonder what it would be like going over there, like for a year and just trying it out.
Yeah.
Like, I reckon it would, like for you, it would be 100% attainable. You could easily do that.
I just want to peek into that world. I'm just like interested.
It's intriguing, isn't it?
And I'd love to, like, even in the music world, I'd love to tour with. I don't even have anyone in mind, but just like, you know, one of the pop superstars,
like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Justin Bieber.
Like, see how they like operate.
Just purely from a like, I'd love to just be really amongst it, because I get like glimpses of it, you know, every now and then, but just to actually be fully on the road with someone with that level of fame, it would just be really interesting. And I think I'd be able to capture some really cool stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So cool.
So if I get an email from one of them,
yeah, guys, you heard it here first. I want to dive a little bit into your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, no. Are you single, dating, married?
Single. I've been single for probably 3 years now, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you want kids?
Just chilling. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think about it very often, but
yeah,
that would be nice at some point. I don't know when. Yeah,
the baby would have to travel with you on all the tours. That would be cool.
Yeah,
get a little earmuffs.
Yeah, it would have to be. I'm just like, I'm still kind of like going pretty full throttle with like, or like any kind of opportunity or travel opportunity that comes up. I'm usually going to take it. So my lifestyle right now is pretty. It suits being quite single and independent, because I could be anywhere, and I kind of like that. I like the freedom of just just being able to do, you know, not have to second think anything, and just be like, do I want to do it? Yes, cool, done. Like, no one else needs to be consulted about this.
Does it get lonely on the road though?
It does at times, but like often I'll be staying, because I often just go on solo adventures.
Cool.
And just, you know, like I was in the Dolomites a couple of years ago, just for fun, really. I stayed at some pretty bougie places. I went all out. And then at those times, like when I'm like on a balcony at sunset overlooking the Dolomites, I would think, it would be nice to have someone to share this with.
Absolutely. I've had moments like that too.
And like, this is like pretty awesome what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And it is maybe a little bit of a shame that I can't share this with someone. But those moments I have many more moments where I'm like, this is cool. I like just being on the road.
How old are you?
36.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know how old you were. Yeah, okay. So it's interesting, like in your 30s, I guess, because it's like people, like, you don't have a quintessential lifestyle. Like, you're like traveling, you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
Like, are a lot of your mates in the same industry, or like, do they like have kids and the white picket fence? And because I find it's different.
It's a bit of a mix, yeah. Because I've got, I guess, more industry friends that are probably a little bit more similar to my lifestyle, but I also have a lot of friends that aren't in, you know, the same industry, and they're all starting to be quite a lot of them who married, have kids, and been to a lot of weddings, shot a couple of not a couple, I've shot one birth.
Oh, that's pretty impressive.
Lockie and Irena.
Oh, Lockie and Irena. I'm seeing them tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We've got an event.
Cool.
We're going to a long table lunch, but yeah,
nice
I'll bring that up.
Yeah, bring that up. I remember.
I saw Jarrad
I think
yesterday.
It was. Where were we? I remember this actually, because we were going up a big escalator. I think at Crown Theatre. We were all just going up an escalator, and I was just I made like a comment. This is when she was still pregnant. Irene was still pregnant, And I went, oh, like, make sure I'm the, like, official baby photographer. I was like, let me know when I can come around and take like, a cute photo. I think Lockie maybe joked, was like, oh, you want to just come to the birthing suite? And I was like, oh, I'm down. I'll come. And then we were like, oh, okay. And we kind of worked it out. And
it's very different to
had
concerts.
a few dates kind of like blocked out on my calendar. I was like, could be this day, could be this day.
The photos were incredible though.
Yeah. It was
a lot
really
of
cool,
emotion.
really cool experience. I mean, obviously I've never seen anything like that. And it was really cool for me. And that's why I was keen to do it as well, because I thought, like, when else would I be in this room other than if it was, you know, my own child? And I guess that's what's cool about photography in general, is that, like, I've been put into like so many situations where, like, any kind of normal life, you would never see all these different things. But because I have a camera, I just get invited to like all these like really rare moments. And just get to be there.
It's like your superpower.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot if you can take a photo. You can wander into anything. I've definitely just like pushed it, you know, at times, and just been in places I shouldn't be. But you can always wing it and make it work.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. So in saying that, like, obviously a lot of your photos are of subjects or people. Like, would you ever branch out into other arenas? You said you haven't done a wedding, or you have?
No, I used to shoot weddings. Yeah.
Oh, you did do weddings.
Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
Now only if it's a friend.
Yeah.
Or if it's in some really cool part of the world and I can,
yes,
you know, tie something else into it. No, I think it has actually happened that it's quite people focused at the moment, but I think people would probably know me more in the earlier days for my landscape photography. I used to go on like really big adventures, like to Iceland or Africa, and just go on these expeditions and be in really remote places. And that's actually, I think, what kind of built my name in the earlier days. All this like just really cool landscape and travel adventure photography. And that's really fun. But it's kind of evolved more into, and I'll still do all that stuff when I can. But yeah, it's definitely more people based now. I'm kind of more interested in story a little bit more than I used to be.
Yeah, nice. With success comes fame and obviously money. How has your life changed? Because, like, I can just imagine you're obviously doing well for yourself. Like, is it financially, like photography, when you get to your level, is it prosperous?
Yeah, it is. I think maybe there's been a few moments that I've kind of realized that, because when we're talking about wild stories, it's like it's a longer story, but the short version of a wild story is that when I was in Brazil once, I was touring with Passenger and Ed Sheeran, and it was Ed Sheeran's birthday one night, and we all got really drunk. And that night, without really knowing what I did, I put an offer on an apartment.
Oh, whereabouts?
in Fremantle. And I hadn't seen it before because I just looked it up online. And I wasn't really serious about it. It was just that my rental lease was kind of running out, you know, within a couple months. So in the back of my mind was like, you know, I need somewhere to stay at some point. You know, where am I going to go?
Why not? Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So it was a big. Basically, I woke up that night to an email saying like your offer's been accepted, and I was like, what the hell happened?
Did you pay the deposit?
Well, yeah, I'm sure I could have, you know, got out of it if I wanted to, but just the fact that I made that decision, and I had filled in like a, you know, contract, formal offer, whatever. I'm sure I could have got out of it, but I'm glad that happened, because, you know, it was just something that just needed to force me into it, because I'd always been, I think it's part of when you start off as a creative or you go into a creative industry, you kind of just accept that, you know, this probably isn't going to be you know, a big money maker, but it's fun and it's, you know, what I enjoy doing. So I'll take the trade off. You know, I'll have a more fun life and not make as much money. I think that's kind of drilled into you. Maybe less so these days because you see all these content creator heroes on Instagram. But anyway, when I think that's just a general artistic mindset. You're like, you know, that's the path I'm choosing. And that's kind of what went through my head when I, you know, quit law. And then I also quit the next degree I was doing. I eventually finished it, but I basically just kept leaving stuff with the mindset that, you know what, I know I'm just like taking a hit money-wise every time I leave one of these things. But, you know, I'm finally finding the thing that I enjoy, and I'll do that as long as I can. And if I really need to, I'll come back to some normal job. So it's kind of like drilled into you, I think. And then little things happen along the way, like this apartment story. And I think I needed that kind of shock incident to happen, and then to really realize, oh, actually, I actually can, you know, afford this. Like I actually can do it. And it just like broke me out of that mindset. And so I went ahead with it, got the apartment. And then it was really like proud moment for me because it was like a very tangible, like concrete thing where I'm like, you're actually successful now. Like you've actually done it. You always thought you'd just be struggling for the rest of your life because you're pursuing something creative. But it actually can be both. It can be like really fulfilling and work financially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first time I've heard anyone buy property when they're drunk.
It was very
first.
silly. Yeah.
I love that story. That's something I do. I do. Give me wine, I'll do anything. That's my problem. But,
yeah.
No, that's a very fun
but like
story.
things like that just make, I think, I don't really think about it and like money situation too often, but then, you know, these moments happen. There was another moment where I was talking to and I can't remember if this was before or after that, it was probably around the same time. I was talking to a friend who studied law at the same time as me, and then she went ahead and actually completed the degree and was, you know, in the first couple of years of being a lawyer or something like that. And we were talking about money things, and how much we make. And then that moment I realized I actually am making more than I would have if I kept going down the lawyer pathway. And that was a big revelation to me as well. I was like, oh, so like gone is that whole idea now of if I stuck on that path, I'd be rich and like whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, it's like, thank God I stayed on this path then, because I actually am making more than I would have. And I assume I'm much happier. Who knows, you know, I might enjoy being a lawyer. I don't think so, but you never know.
Yeah.
You know?
You never know.
You never know.
You can always go back and try it.
I think there's so many pathways you can take all the time, and
Yes.
I think as long as you like give a good go of it, it's hard to look back and find regrets. So I don't know, because I find this a lot just within what I do as a photographer. There's all these little you know, moments where I have to go one way or another, and you stress about the decision and you don't know which one's right to do, and you just pick one and you do it. And I can't think of any time where I've looked back and been like, that was a wrong call. And I think it's because just whatever you choose, whichever pathway you go, something cool. If you properly just, you know, go for it, something cool will happen. And it might not be the thing you expected, but it might be something else. But something will happen because you've went that way, and then that will open a door to something else. And like things just keep happening. So then, if you look back and say, if I did that other decision early on, then all these little things wouldn't have happened. So it's really hard to like. And that's why I think, you know, who knows? Maybe if I had kept studying, become a lawyer, could be some hotshot lawyer, could have moved to LA, being a celebrity lawyer. You know, who knows what my life could have been? You just don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So no regrets on anything. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of what is happening for you next? Obviously, you're going over east. What else are you doing like to end the year, or is that your main focus?
That's actually the only, this is quite common. That's the only thing I have booked in for the rest of the year in terms of major projects. But it will get filled for sure. Someone will ask me to do something. But if not, I'm also happy because I've got personal projects that I kind of try and do in between things. The main one is a portrait project called The Story of Scars.
Ooh.
And that's where I'm photographing and interviewing people with scars.
I have a scar.
Oh, what is it?
I had cancer.
Oh, wow.
You're like, I don't want you on my books.
Where's the scar?
It's from thyroid cancer.
Oh, wow.
It's here. It's under makeup.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
I'll
really
chat
cool.
to you about that.
I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just something that, you know, I like having a personal project. I often don't get time for it. And it is a difficult thing to keep going because, and I'm sure even like with a podcast or something, it's pretty hard to keep those things going when you're funding it yourself. And every time you work on it, you're actually taking time away from things that make you money. And so I'm trying really hard to keep this one going because it's, you know, and coming back to, you know, being more interested in stories and people, it's just much more meaningful than most of the work I do. And I think that's fine to say. I think a lot of work I do it's really cool. It's like branding for someone, like Angus and Julia Stone. It's a lot of making people look cool is my job. And that's really awesome and it's fun to do. But I'm starting to become more interested in just like
nourishing the soul.
Yeah, and just and creating stuff with a bit more meaning, with a bit more impact. And often those things aren't going to be the commercially, you know.
No.
It's not where no one's really funding that sort of thing. I did get a bit of funding from Canon early on, but now it's all self-funded. But you know, I'm just thinking, you know, if I die tomorrow, do I want people to say, yeah, this guy, he took cool photos of rock stars? Like, that's cool, but I would rather the story is, look at this impact he had, look at this Scars project where he's dived deep into like people's stories, and the project does have a lot of impact on other people. I've got many messages from people saying like, I'm so glad you showcase this person or you let this person tell their story because that's exactly my story too. And, you know, it makes me feel less alone about, you know, the struggles that I've been through. And I love hearing stuff like that. And that sort of stuff doesn't come through in most of the work I do.
That's impactful. And that's very, like, on a humanitarian level of, like, giving back to the community, which I love.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what life's about. Like, it's not all about us. It's about helping other people, I think.
I think so. And I think I would like to, you know, just in a very broad term, by the time I'm gone, I just want to have, you know, left the place better, you know, just kind of made some people feel better, you know, just told some stories that aren't told, you know, just have some sort of impact, positive impact. And that's why I want to do these personal projects.
Amazing. Where can people find you online?
On Instagram, Jarrad Seng. That's pretty much all I use these days. I'm pretty bad at social media now. Really?
You got like over 180,000 followers.
It used to be more. It goes down every day. It was actually more before I went on Survivor. And then I reckon it's just gone down since then.
Did you like Survivor?
Yeah.
Did you? Because I went on $1 Million Island.
Yeah.
It's a survival show.
A lot of starving and...
But you didn't mind it?
No, I liked it, and I actually liked, and maybe this is just looking back in retrospect, but I liked the starving, cold parts as well. In the long run, at the time, obviously, I'm like, fuck.
Can I ask why?
I think it's all just like resilience building.
So you like building resilient, like.
I like being I've done a whole TED talk on embracing discomfort. That's the name of it.
Oh, that's cool.
And the gist of the talk is that I think I know this about myself now. I need to be forced into uncomfortable situations. And without fail, after it's over, I can see what a positive impact that's had. At the time, I hate it. Like, I don't really like exercise. I don't like doing big hikes, you know, for the sake of it. I'm a pretty lazy kind of person. But every time I've been forced to do things or be uncomfortable, like, yeah, I can see the growth. It's like, it's very visible.
So through that process, you became a better version of yourself, do you think? And
I think so. I think in some way, and I think it's just cool to put yourself in like tough situations, and you just have to deal with it, you know. And I think that's where, you know, you find stories. That's where you just, you know, where interesting things happen. I mean, if you think about any kind of story or movie or book, like if things just like were just fine the whole time, it'd be pretty boring.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm like, yeah, just like, let's just get some crazy shit happening and just see what happens. And I've made some really cool friends. Have you made like good friends through your experience? Yeah.
Because you've all shared the trauma.
That's the thing. Like, people ask me my favorite part of that. And there was one night in particular where it was one of the first nights and it was raining nonstop. And we were trying to protect our fire, and we ended up just standing like around this fire with leaves over our head for maybe 12 hours straight.
Feels, yeah.
And that was so intense. 2 people got hypothermia that night. Someone nearly like passed out into the fire. Lockie saved him, actually. Tarzan like nearly died, basically. And Lockie had to pick him up and like put him on his shoulder, and like we were screaming for like the medic. All this crazy shit happened, and it was so scary at the time, but really inspiring because like no one quit. Everyone just did it. Everyone's crying.
Yeah.
And like everyone's thinking, well, I assume everyone's thinking it. I was thinking, I was like, this is pretty, like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Well, because these days we all are so comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, we have our little heaters. Like, today it's raining in Perth, guys. But, like, you know, the heater's on. I've got my little slippers on.
Yeah.
Like, you don't ever get out of that comfort in this society anymore.
And I think that's why I think you need to be forced to, because it's not like I'm not just going to sit at home freezing and not put the heater on for no reason. So,
next time I'll check in, I'll be like, is your heater on?
Yeah, you need to be kind of...
Yeah.
But I think if you can have that mindset of like recognizing when something's going to be like pretty difficult.
Yeah.
But should I force myself into it? And the more you can say yes to that kind of thing, I think life just gets so much more interesting.
Yeah. Jarrad Seng, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. And it's been an amazing chat.
I think so, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks, guys, for listening to the pod this week. I'll catch you next week for another guest. Bye.